Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, this is the fork in the road video. That's what this is. We're gonna decide what elements we're gonna use and what we're gonna need here in the apocalypse. Whatever you're facing out there, we've got everything you need. So we're gonna talk about antimoney today. This is one of the elements. We're gonna talk about silver, solder, okay, and tin. It's very important because you're gonna need this stuff because of Murphy's Law. Let's just say something goes wrong and you need to make some repairs. You're going to have to be able to make repairs to equipment. And this is how I do it, using silver solder. See, I keep a lot of information on my computer here in case I have to go back and look at something. But I'm going to rebuild it. So I'm working on some different equipment today. I'm going over a lot of stuff, so I figured I'd pull the camera out and show you guys some of this stuff. So these are my torches. This is the small stuff that I use to do electrical repairs. I do a lot of soldering. So it's good to have two of them. I have two of everything. I always have backups. And I have the ability to repair anything that breaks. That's what this video is about today. We're going to talk about a lot of this stuff. When you're working on one of these wet cells or one of these fuel cell reactors, you got to be able to make repairs. Let's say one of your power supplies breaks, or you have a solar panel break or go down. You need equipment. You need stuff on hand that you can work with. So it's good to have at least one tank on hand in case you don't have any electrical power right off the bat and you have to make some repairs. So we're going to talk about a lot of different equipment here. It's good to have a Prestolite. I use the silver solder for my electronics, and I use this stuff for larger stuff like pipes and things. So we'll talk about these elements. Like I said, I got a lot of stuff out here. We're going to cover some of this other stuff like surfactants. This is soap I have in the back here. You can see how it reacts to this UV light. It's hard to see it on the light here. Let me turn out the light so you can see. See how bright this stuff gets? This is quinine. This is stuff I use in my reactors. See, I'm using a UV light. Just some of the stuff we're going to talk about, some of the stuff we're going to cover. So I got some bridge rectifiers right here. This is a good thing to have on hand. So I ordered a few of these. I'm getting my hands on supplies and equipment. In these videos, I'm not going to edit them too much. I'm just going to try to put everything together as fast as I can. So if they're a little sloppy, I can't help it. See, here's a reactor core that's in production. You can see I'm going to have to sand the outside here. So it's a nasty job starting out, but it comes out, it's real nice when it's finished. See, there's a very simple array. I'm going to use this for my oxyhydrogen fuel torch welding equipment. So I'm working on each section. I'm working on my lights, I'm working on my stove, I'm working on my welder. I'm trying to get all the welding stuff done first because I might need that for repairs in the future. That's one of the great things about oxyhydrogen gas. So you can see down in the reactor core here, I'm going to explain some of these tools and equipment. I never really get a chance to do this. I'll show you how I build this stuff. You can see my screws on the outside here. See how everything looks real nice? Real good connections, real solid connections. Everything's been thread taped. Everything uses thread tape and this heavy duty PVC cement. So make sure you have a lot of that. You can't do much without this blue tape. I use this blue tape to get these perfect lines. You know, I'll take a piece of blue tape and go around it, and I can measure it using a piece of paper like this. So I can get the exact distance of things. Just some of the stuff that you don't see. There's my JB Quick in the back there. Very important. And that's how I get those very watertight seals. You don't want anything to leak. A lot of the PVC they sell you at the department store, it's got, you know, DWV and PVC mixed together. So you can't just make connections using the PVC cement. You want to use that stuff. You want to use the JB Quick so you have a really nice seal. I usually put a nice big glob of it all the way around. And then I squish it down with the PVC cement on there. So I'm using two sealants. Nothing leaks. When these things are finished, they're watertight. See how tight that seal is? So we'll continue on. I'm just covering as many things as I can in these videos right now. I wanted to talk about as many parts as I could. make sure you get your hands on some earmuffs. It's very important if you're working with oxyhydrogen gas. That's one of the most important things. Having ear protection, eye protection, stuff like that. When you're working in the laboratory, you're working with equipment, working with the drill. See, here's my drill. These very simple tools, guys. It's very simple. There's my PVC. Very simple power tools. I just lean down and grind things right on there. I clean all my brass on that wheel. So there's my voltage meter. Just wanted to show some of the equipment today. I use this to check temperature. All my Dremel equipment, you gotta have your drill set. See, I'm using drill bits. You know, I drill these holes to put these bolts in here. And I screw those bolts in real tight. It starts off like this. It's a little hole, and I'll take the bolt, and the bolt doesn't even fit. You can't even fit it in there. It won't fit. But as soon as you start pressure pushing it in there, let me push it in a little bit. It starts to go in, and then I use this to get it going. And then I use this big tool to start spinning it. See, because it's got this lug on the end of it there. You can get a hold of that, and you just run it through there like that. That's one of the most important things about making these wet cells. I mean, think about that. When Archimedes invented the screw, still being used today. It's your electrical connection. It's not like a dry cell where you have all these plates and all these gaskets and all this stuff. It's very simple. It's 80s technology, and it works just as good today. See, make sure you get your hands on this hose back here. This is the hose that I use. See, give you a look at that so you can see it. Okay, we'll head over to 10. Should be right about here. Here's 10. It's very important you guys see this stuff. See, that's element 50 on the table of elements. And it's worth its weight in gold, believe it or not. And remember, energy just changes forms from one type to the next. It can't be created or destroyed. Everything you see in the universe, in the galaxy, it's as active as it was as when it was first created. So energy just changes forms from one type to the next, and that's what's going on here. Like I said, getting these parts now while you still can. Make sure you go out and finish your torches, finish your bubblers, finish your reactors. Buy your backup equipment. You know, right now I'm working on a light for one of my back rooms. I'm going to build a limelight that stands up about this tall. I'm working on that. So I want you guys to see some of this stuff while I was actually in the process of building it. I mean, it's child's play, it's kitten stuff. I mean, this is very easy. And when you build wet cells, it's not like a dry cell where it keeps getting more complicated and more complicated. This is very different. This all goes the other way. You want to build things simpler and simpler with less parts. You know, I'm building these reactors. They won't have any threaded area right here. There's going to be less thread tape, less magic lube. Very different stuff. I won't need any clear parts on this one because these are for the welder. But I'm just going to keep covering this stuff. Like I said, I have stuff everywhere. I have my drill. This is the drill that I use. Very simple, easy to get your hands on, and a Dremel tool. And these cutoff wheels. That's how I cut the bolts. See all my PVC sitting here? I have stuff to work with. Look, these are the tops. And I got my flash port right here. There's a spring inside there and a mouse ball. I've showed you guys that. Just want you to see this stuff. I got so many irons in the fire. That's why I haven't been able to make any videos. See, I'm building a power supply right here using a microwave oven transformer. I've cut the secondary out, getting ready to do my windings and hook up my bridge rectifier over there. See? This is the stuff you guys need to be out there buying right now. You know, get stuff for your power supplies. Make sure you got your connections. Make sure you got some silver solder to work on the really small stuff. Let's say you have a solar panel go down or a wind turbine. You got to be able to fix that thing, man. Make sure you have some JB Quick. You know, I use this to put the reactors together. It's a permanent seal. And remember, these reactors, you can add bolts to them later. I mean, you can get real creative. You can cut this thing in half and start adding more stuff to it. I mean, let's say something broke, you know, you can cut it off and use the parts somewhere else. That's the idea with the PVC. You can get real creative with this stuff. I mean, you can have one bolt coming in here, and then you can have a bolt coming in here, and then up here, you can have a replaceable electrode. You can actually reach it and get to it. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could do this. I just wanted to make sure you guys had some of this stuff. Make sure you have some flux paste. That's how you clean the metal. So we'll move on. I'm just going to make a bunch of videos and stick them online to help you guys. Make sure you have stuff like this. These splicers. Without this, I'm doomed. I have to have this. I mean, I could find stuff in the environment. You can take apart refrigerators, cars, pieces of junk. I mean, you can get all these parts, all the stuff to do this. But it's nice to have the right stuff, you know, to go out and have this stuff ahead of time. Like, that's enough to last me a lifetime. And it's recyclable. I could take this off other parts and reuse it if I had to. See, look, quenching technology. If you're working with HHO gas, you gotta have quenching technology. Valves. Extra valves in case I need it. You know, just think ahead, guys. So it's good to have goggles, you know, and if you're working with the limelights, you better have you some good protection like this. So you can get these eye protection. Easy to get your hands on this stuff. And it'll last forever if you take care of it. So this is some of my cooking equipment and some of my welding stuff. This is stuff for the limelight. This is my propane tank connection. I can connect any propane tank and connect it to my reactor. You've seen that. Here's my, for soldering really small stuff. This little cheap plug-in wall solder device. See, and I have a battery over here in case things go down. So I can charge this thing with the solar panel. Power strips. It's good to have power strips. I mean, just a lot of equipment. LEDs, underwater LEDs. These are my power supplies, 1,000 watts right here. I've got more of these. I'm going to show you guys some different power supplies. I have some smaller ones that run smaller things. You don't always need 1,000 watts. Sometimes you only need 200 watts. So measuring equipment, being able to measure electricity. Super important to have your voltage meter. I mean, simple stuff, guys. Measuring tape, you know, to be able to measure the size of PVC. So it's good to have a plethora of PVC equipment, you know, these screens that I use. These are for attaching lights, and you can cut these up and grind them any way you want. I use them for support to hold the rod that goes through the middle. Flat PVC caps. A lot of different motors back there, books. I mean, I just wanted to cover as much stuff as I could and throw it in these videos. I'm going to do everything I can here. I'm going to remain at my post and just show you guys some of this stuff. Here's the neoprene screws, the plastic screws that I use that go through the reactor cores when I make the exciter array. See, this one's going to be a really hot one. This is going to move really fast. I don't have a lot of neutrals in there. It's going to take very little electrolyte to run that one. Stepping on the stuff. But this is it. You know, we're going to continue on. I'm just going to keep pulling stuff out and showing you guys. The really good stuff's on the way.